Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Carly and you're watching Sewscape. Today we are going to be diving into the January issue of 2023 of Burda. And today we are going to be making some really cute chinos or cargo pant inspired pants. Alright, so it's on page 16 here. There are these chinos here and here are the line drawings. So they give it a 3-dot rating, which means they'll be a little difficult, but not as difficult as they could be. So the pockets on the front here are actually, the slant pockets are real pockets, but the little tabs under here are faux pockets. So they aren't functional. So that should make it a little bit easier. I think if they had been kind of like functional welt pockets, then that would be a 4-dot rating. So I'm going to make that out of this olive green twill here. I was thinking like super cargo pant will go with everything. I think they'll be really cute. So I picked this up at Fabricland. It is just 100% cotton twill and you need 2 meters of it. Normally I find with Burda patterns in the magazine, they tell you you can usually squeeze it out of a little less, like you don't actually need the full 2 meters. But I lined this up the way that they recommended in the pattern cutting and I barely had enough. I had to change one of the pieces to be kind of facing the other way. So hopefully that doesn't change too much in the construction of the garment, that like the grain lines of the twill will line up. It's the back crotch piece. So if anyone's looking that close, it's their problem, not mine, right? So I am going to prep my sewing room for this project. That is the first step. So I've cut all the pieces out and I've made most of the markings. I think I have one piece left to mark and then I need to change my serger thread. I went to my fabric store and I didn't find any serger thread that was close to this color. The closest they had was maybe a taupe, but I thought if I'm not doing the same color, why bother buying 4 cones of a thread that I'm not going to use? So I'm just going to change it to black. Right now I have white in there, but I'm going to change my serger thread to black and then I'm going to load up a bobbin, get my machine all threaded, and then we can get sewing. So as I started marking pattern pieces, I realized I actually didn't cut out the pocket lining piece. So I just pulled out these kind of remnants of a shirt that I made last year and I have quite a bit of this left. I thought I would make my son a matching shirt to me and then I'm going to make the pocket bag. So they've got these little lion heads on it. I'm actually wearing this shirt in my intro video, so you will see that there. So I'm gonna cut out these lining pieces and then keep marking. Hi everyone, it's actually 3 days later now. I was looking for my thread that I bought for this project. I couldn't find it anywhere. It turns out that it was actually hiding inside one of the new cones of serger thread that I bought. So I looked everywhere for it. I ended up buying new thread that wasn't exactly the right color and then found it as I was going to thread up my serger. So now we're gonna get started. The first step in making these pants is sewing the 2 front panels together. So if you look on the front and on the back, it's composed of two pieces. So we're gonna sew up the front 2 pieces and the back 2 pieces so that they make a full front and a full back, and then we're gonna serge it, and then we're gonna top stitch it towards the center. So I have that whole center seam pinned up, and we will get that sewn. So I just finished sewing up those seams, so I'm going to press them towards the center back and center front, and then I'm going to top stitch. I think it's a 1/4 inch away, but I will double check. So I have that all top stitched now, just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This was actually really meditative. It was awesome. I love just like top stitching lines. I had a crazy day at work today, so that was really nice just to focus on the line going through, and that was awesome. So now I have to run to the grocery store before I start cooking dinner. We're gonna have beef barley soup tonight. So I have to go grab a can of tomatoes. And yeah, so I don't know if I'll get back to this tonight. You might see me tomorrow or another time in the future. Maybe tonight I'll start working on the pockets, but if not, I'll see you later. Hi everyone, it is now the next day. I start work a little bit later today, so I thought I would take about an hour and do some sewing on these pants. So our next step is to work on the pockets. So this is the front pant piece now with the seam up the middle here. And so here is our fly front extension, so that's there. And then on this side here, we have the marking for the patch pocket, and this is where the side seam or the slant pocket goes in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pocket piece here. I think it's just so cute. It goes with the pants so well. And then, sorry, my dog sounded like he was eating something. So I'm gonna put this right sides together with this opening here, and the edges match perfectly. And I'm gonna sew this up with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then we're gonna cut that seam allowance, flip it to the inside, and understitch it. So now that I have that whole edge sewn up, I'm going to press this all to the inside and make sure none of this pocket is showing, and make sure that edge is super clipped really close to that stitch line so that you get a nice kind of even fold happening there. So I'm gonna press that, and then I said understitch, but we're really gonna top stitch it. So we're gonna match the top stitching we did here by doing a 1/4 inch away from the seam here. And so when I'm top stitching, when I'm using my walking foot, I use the kind of white teeth that walk as my guide to being a 1/4 inch away from the needle. So now you get this really neat looking pocket on the outside, and then a beautiful pattern pocket piece on the inside. So when I press it to the inside, I like to do like the tiniest, like 1/8 of an inch of the right side inward, just so if the pocket is a really noticeable different fabric, but you can't see it from the right side. So I just put a little bit extra over and make sure this corner is looking really nice and sharp. And now we'll top stitch it. So the way you top stitch it is the way it's gonna look every day. So make sure none of that pocket is showing, and really kind of make sure to keep it to the inside as you're going through and stitching. So there are little white teeth right under here, and I'm making sure that it's lined up exactly. So this corner is exactly lined up as I sew down. So now we're gonna take our pocket piece here that we have all of our lines marked up on, and we are going to pop on the front pieces, right sides together, and we're gonna follow this little line here and match that up, and it's looking great. And then we'll just kind of pin it to the pocket piece on the inside here, and sew all the way around that pocket piece. So now I have sewn the pocket pieces together, and I've overlocked this whole edge. The edge is kind of tricky in this corner, but don't worry about it, because when this is right side out like this, we'll overlock the whole edge of the pants, and it'll catch the parts that we couldn't get here. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna line this up exactly how we want these pants to sit. I take this edge, line up our chalk lines, and base this little corner here so that when we kind of sew the facing on, this stays exactly where we want it. And I'm gonna base down here too, just so when I serge that side seam, nothing moves around on me. We don't want a gaping pocket. So our next step that we're gonna be working on is on these pocket flaps. So what we're gonna do is we have one interface piece of the pocket flap, and then one not interfaced piece of the pocket flap. So we're going to place them right sides together here and sew along the edges. We're gonna clip all the corners. We're gonna trim our seam allowances, turn it to the inside, and then top stitch all the edges except for the one that we're going to attach. All right, so before you sew on the patch pockets, you actually have to do the side seams. And I might have made a mistake here, but I always like to construct my flies flat. So for this project, I bought kind of a heavy duty denim zipper, but I measured it and it is too small. So I had to use just kind of a regular zipper. I hope it holds up okay, but I guess we'll see. And so I'm going to link the tutorial I use for when I sew my zip front flies. And so now I'm going to sew up those side seams so I can put the patch pockets on. So it is now the evening, and I can't remember what the last thing I recorded was, so we'll just I'll catch you up on where I am. So I've just sewn up the side seams, and I'm gonna pin the flaps on. So I'm gonna press that seam, and then I'm gonna pin the faux pockets on, and then we'll move on to the inner seam, the inner leg seam. So I have those pocket tabs all sewn on now. I have the little marking on here for when I put the button in. So I just kind of lined up one side with the marking that I put on, and then I folded this down and then top stitched 1/4 inch to match. I didn't line it up perfectly with this kind of diagonal seam here, but it's good enough. It'll look great. So the next step that I'm gonna do is sew up the crotch seam here. So I'm gonna put right sides together and just sew all the way up that seam, and then I'm going to overlock it and then press it. So I just did my first try on of the pants. The fabric is a little stiff, but they fit pretty great. They're gonna be ankle pants, they're gonna be a little short. I'm not gonna hem them that much just because it is winter and I can always hem them up higher for the summer, but for now I don't want my ankles to get too cold. So I'm thinking they're just gonna kind of graze my ankles. So now I'm gonna start working on the facing. So the zip actually works really great. I was worried about it not being kind of heavy duty enough, but after trying it on, I think it'll be great. So yeah, now I'm gonna sew all the facing pieces together here. And I don't know if I'm gonna serge this bottom edge. Look, I cut that out kind of funny, hey? If I'm gonna serge the bottom edge or if I'm gonna cover it with bias binding with the same fabric as my pocket fabric here with the tigers on it. I really want to make sure I have enough of that fabric to make my son a shirt one day, so maybe I'll just overlock it. Hello, so I'll just show you guys. Today is the next day. I just got home from work and I did some work on these last night and I sewed on the facing. And then I ended up unpicking everything because the facing kind of folded this down by another 5/8 of an inch. So it sits a little bit lower. On the pattern sheet, it says like sits below the waist, which I was totally prepared for. But when I kind of turn my body this way, it means that the pants are kind of sitting at, you know, the widest part of my body. And I'm feeling like a little bit self-conscious about myself right now, so I like to kind of have things sit at my waist so that, you know, when I'm wearing belts and stuff, it's not belting the thickest part of me. It's kind of snatching everything in and looking really good. So when this is on, you know, my natural waist is just kind of right above here. So I'm actually gonna add a waistband onto these on top so that we're like adding a little extra length without taking anything else away. I'm loving the pockets. I love the like utility look of them. I think they're really cute. I'm liking this length. I'm just gonna fold up probably like a 1 centimeter hem so that they're still kind of full length pants. But I think they are looking really great. I'll show you. You can see the back there. They're kind of funky. I really like them. So I think the fit is pretty good. Once the waistband is on, I think, because these are just basted here, it'll sit a little bit more flat across the front here. But yeah, so that is my plan. So I'll show you what I have done. So I have cut out some material for the waistband. So because I barely had anything left over, I've had to cut this in a couple different pieces. So we have 2 pieces that are, I think it was 17 or 18 inches. And then I cut one more piece just, and this is exactly the distance of the kind of back panels together. So the seam will be hidden by the belt loops. So I'm going to sew this all together and then I'm going to interface it and then we will get it sewn onto the pant. So now I have that all sewn up. So it's looking like this panel is cut on a different grain. Is that going to drive me crazy? Maybe. We'll see when it's on the pants. But I think because it'll be separated by the belt loops over here, it'll be totally fine. And it'll give it kind of more of a patchwork utility pant look. I think it'll be great. So the waistband is sewn on now. It's looking great. I just have to add the buttons here, the buttons on the pocket, hem the bottom, and then put on the belt loops. It is dinner time where we are, so I'm gonna start cooking that and we're gonna be having broccoli cheese soup for dinner. I'm in my husband's comfy pajama pants while I'm sewing these, but I hope that they are ready for tomorrow so I can wear them to work. So this pattern has been amazing to sew up. I would really recommend it. I find it fits very true to size. I followed my waist measurement and my hip measurement, and I went down one size in the hip because I knew it was gonna kind of follow that shape there, and it's a bit wider around the hip, so that worked out great. I did add a waistband just because I found the facing was a little bit fussy, and it made it too low-waisted for me. But if you don't kind of like tuck all your clothes in, then it would be fine to do the facing, but because I tuck almost everything that I wear in and I want to keep my waist really nipped in and looking super flattering, yeah, I added the waistband, and I find it's a great addition. And yeah, I just kind of attached the belt loops onto it like I would on any other pair of pants. And that is the video that I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.